Hi everyone, welcome to Pragati Vichar Literature Festival 2023 organized by Frontlist Media, and this year's theme is Taking Humanity Forward. So today we all are present here to celebrate the love for literature and discuss the important matters which are prevailing in our society and establish engaging conversation with the audience. So today's topic is power, passion, murder, and beliefs. And this session theme is nationalism and patriotism. So today we will be talking about nationalism and guest with us Alok Lal, Mr. In panel we have Nilutpal Gohain. Am I right? Okay.
Yes,
We are immensely glad to have you both of you today for this session. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So let us
thank you.
start with introduction. Alok Lal is a former Indian police service officer who has been awarded medals for meritorious and distinguished services by the President of India, rising to the top rank of Director General of Police. As an officer, he made important contribution in the diabetes-infested areas around Kanpur, and his spectacular success in dealing with the opium mafia through the unorthodox methods is the subject of his new book, Balcony Narcos. And he is also served in other challenging assignments in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand with high levels of success. Apart from being a writer, Alok Lal is a well-known painter and lives in idyllic Dehradun with his wife and son. Thank you, sir, for coming today. Welcome to Pragati
Thank you very
Vichar
much.
Festival.
Thank you. Looking forward to this session.
Yeah. So next we have Mr. Nilutpal Gohain. Nilutpal Gohain is a government servant currently serving as Assistant Registrar of Cooperative Societies for the Government of Assam. He is graduated in engineering from Wells University, Chennai, and worked at sea as a marine engineer for a short stint before moving ashore. In 2015, he joined the government of Assam in the Canara Bank as a probationary officer. Since then, he has been in his current job. He has started his literary journey recently after finishing his quest for bread and butter, and many of his poems and short stories have been published in newspapers and e-journals such as Muse India, Spillwords, Setu the Bilingual, The Hans India, The Poets India, Youth Ki Awaaz, etc. And he is also a contributing author to many anthologies. Welcome, sir. I hope
Hello,
you
thank
both
you.
are doing well.
I'm doing well. Well,
Yeah.
you missed my books. I've written two books. One is The Legend of Lachit Barphukan, and the other is The Rajkumar Murders. So I've reached a little bit above than writing in anthologies. Just
Yes,
wanted
you
to
also
mention.
have to mention my book as well. Apart from Barabanki
Barabanki
Narcos,
Narcos.
I have written Murder in the Bylanes, Life and Death in a Divided City. So that is the second book, which I
Mhm.
have written with Manas Lal.
Okay. Since we are talking about your books, so I would like to ask my first question to Mr. Alok Lal. How did you embark your journey of composing the book Barabanki Narcos? And what message did you try to convey through your book?
As you said in my introduction itself, I have served as a police officer. And I was once posted in a place called Barabanki. So that is the name you find in the title of the book also. Barabanki is a district in Uttar Pradesh. So I had dealt with a mafia which ran the business or the illicit business of the smuggling of opium. So they are a very powerful group of people. They have loads and loads of money, and they can buy all authorities, starting from the highest and going down to the lowest. So the challenge was to deal with these people. When I was posted to Barabanki, that was long back in 1984. I was there for a couple of years in that district as superintendent of police. So in that capacity, I was lucky. I must say that the hard work that I did paid. And so we finally managed to break the back of that group of cartels, and we were able to bring down the opium smuggling to a trickle. So this was the big achievement I had. Despite all the odds, my men and I managed to do this. And so the book is written about this. And that is where the idea of writing the book began, because this was an achievement which set a world record, continues to be a world record, because in a matter of 2 years, we could unearth 13 quintals of illicit opium and many kilos of its derivatives. Especially heroin. So, in those years, the amount of money that's involved has now multiplied to a few thousand crores, the amount that we recovered. So, I thought this was some story to be told. One reason was that people should know what is wrong with drugs, why drugs should not be taken. And it has been said that they are nihilistic, drugs are nihilistic. And
Okay.
nihilistic, they being nihilistic, they lead to a total destruction of the human being himself. And there is so much of serious damage to the society from which that individual comes. So, this was one reason why I wrote. And the other was that people have an image of the police that we have. And
Right.
so I thought if I write the good parts of what we have been able to do as police forces in India, it will send the message to the reader that your police is good. There are aspects which need to be praised and known.
And we are glad that you did a very good thing and you just came out with this book to tell people about this like huge incident, or maybe that scandal about opium. So over to Mr. Nilutpal Gohain. So what inspired you to write the historical fiction, The Legend of Lachit Borphukan? Am I spelling it right?
Yeah, kind of. It's Barfukan.
Borphukan, okay.
Okay. Well, this is the book, The Legend of Lachit Barfukan. Well, Lachit Barfukan is a general in the Ahom army. The Ahom was a kingdom in Assam which ruled this part of the country for 600 years, from the 12th century till the 18th century. So he was the most successful general during this whole, ruling period of the Ahoms, and he was instrumental in, thwarting the attempts of the Mughals to annex this part of the country. So I am from the CBSC background. I have not read Assamese history as such, but during the preparation of the Assam Civil Services, I had to read the Assam history as well. Then after I got my job, I had to travel to various places for inspection and all those things. So once while I was traveling from Guwahati to North Guwahati. So Guwahati is like the southern part of southern bank of the river Brahmaputra, and the northern bank is called Uttar Guwahati, North Guwahati. So I was traveling from Guwahati to North Guwahati for a inspection of a project. While traveling on the road, I saw a small, signboard kind of a thing where it was written Lachit Gar. And Gar in Assamese means a rampart. So it should have been a raised land where, this board should have been there. But there wasn't any proper raised land, or there wasn't anything that was properly preserved there. So I wondered why, such important monuments were not properly preserved. So I started thinking about it and came and did a bit of research, and I found that some of the prominent places that were mentioned in the history were not properly preserved, and those places have lost the historical importance as
Right.
of date. So that got me thinking, and I thought, why not, keep them preserved in the form of a book? So that inspired me to write about him, and the story of his, courage and failure is so interesting, so inspiring, that people should know about him.
Right.
In Assam, most of the people know about him, but even outside Assam, people should know. So that was the main point of me writing this book. there are many unsung heroes in the history that has not got their due recognition in the history books. So this was a small humble attempt to make one of those unsung heroes known to the country.
Okay. So, like you said, that your book is based on Assam, and Mr. Alok Lal book is based on Uttar Pradesh, right? So I feel like these such kind of books that's very important that come out in a society, and people will get know like recognize them more, because being a society we should know what is happening in our other states in our country, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
moving ahead, my question is something little, since we are talking about nationalism, patriotism. So our questions will be, addressing the society's problem today. So my
Mhm.
next question to you is: racism is deeply embedded in our society. What do you think is the root cause of this? So I would like to start with Alok, sir.
So before I answer that question, I want to show the two books that I was
Yeah,
talking about.
sure, sure.
One is the Barabanki Narcos. This was brought out by Hachette, and this was a couple of years ago. This year, we came up with a book
It's
called
the
Murder in the
violence.
Violence, Life and Death in a Divided City. This was brought out by Bloomsbury. So these are the two books that we have written. The question about racism in our country.
Right.
Unfortunately, this is one of those things which we are never willing to accept, that yes, racism is a problem with our country. But when you look all around, you see that we have so many attitudes based on ethnicity of people who come from different parts of the country. Nilutpal comes from the Northeast. So people from the Northeast are often treated very differently in the mainland, let's say in Delhi or even in the South. You would recall that some years back, a lot of northeastern citizens of the country had to rush away from cities like Bangalore to go back to the northeast. And even today, there is an effort to sort of bring those areas into the mainstream of the society.
Mm.
I think one of the reasons could be that we have seen waves and waves of people coming to our country. Some of them came here and stayed with us. Some of them came here, ruled us. They pillaged us. Whatever they could take away from here, they took it away. And mainly these were the people from Britain. So we were under the English people through the East India Company
Right.
and the government of UK, that we, we were subjugated by them. And the world over, there is this problem of the white supremacy being one of the motives in which the world is being run. Be it in Africa, be it even within the USA, even today, there is discrimination based on caste. We
Right.
have not been isolated from uh, those influences. In our country, if you look at this, the white skinned people in our country have also been a little more dominant, despite the fact
Mhm.
that the contributions of all people of India have been so strong. The fact that every time, every year, in almost 10, 20, 50 functions every year, some or the other senior leader has to say कि हमारा एक देश है, हम सब एक लोग हैं, हम सब एक साथ हैं, we are united. Yet the fact remains that based on many factors, be it caste, be it religion, be it region, so we have these divisional uh, factors working within our society. Within, let's say, given caste, also we have divisions that within the caste somebody is higher, somebody is lower. So this has been a tradition with our country. I
Right.
think these are influences which are not likely to go very easily. And even somebody of the influence of Gandhiji could not remove these systems.
Right.
Gandhiji could not bring about complete unity amongst Hindus and Muslims or amongst the castes, despite
Hmm.
the fact that he taught us to abhor casteism. Yet, even today, casteism is a leitmotif of our politics. Almost entirely, the politics of India is based on caste systems.
Right.
So when you ask me what is the root cause, I think the root cause is in the way we are brought up. The root cause is in the way that society thinks. The
Mm.
society is made to think like this because today we have groups, especially the politicians, who are taking advantage of the caste system, taking advantage of the regional attitudes. Why a northeastern person will find it difficult to get a job, let's say in Delhi, compared to somebody who comes from Delhi itself or from this region. So
Right.
these are things which are deeply embedded. There's no doubt. We have this attitude of Gora Kala also,
Mm.
Madrasi and so on and so Punjabi and so on. These are factors which are in our common parlance. We talk about these things all the time. So obviously, these are the roots from where all this grows.
Right. I absolutely agree with you. So, moving, yeah, what are your thoughts on the same?
Well, I totally agree with Alok sir. Whatever he said totally makes sense. See, there is a joke in India. They say we are Indians only outside the country. Inside the country, we are Bengali, Bihari, Marathi, North Indian, South Indian, Assamese, Northeastern. We are like that. So this feeling of differentiation or the diversity has been ingrained, and we are a country where there are three different races. We, the Northeastern, are from the Mongoloid race. The
Mm.
South Indians are from the Dravidian race, and the North Indians are from another race. So all these races form a country. So it is very important that each of the races or each of the diversified diaspora should accept the other diaspora as well, so that you know a camaraderie happens. But we don't see it because that has not been promoted properly, as Alok sir said, by the so-called power centers of the country. So
Mm.
it's important that we need to focus on these issues. We need to bring out that even if we belong to different races, we are Indians, and we tend to, we should get equal respect in each part of the country. Secondly, some of the fundamental rights which we have as Indians should be, uh, should be utilized, or should be, accepted in form, and not should it should not only be a part of the constitution.
Right.
So if everyone accepts that we all are Indians and we all are to be treated equally and respectfully, things will change for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. So, considering the inequality and the racial discrimination that we witness today, do you think that we will ever be able to establish a dystopian society? And I feel like establishing a dystopian society is something, it's a far-fetched dream. But still, I would like to ask. So, yeah, Alok sir.
I thought we are a dystopian society and we need to move towards utopia.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's like utopian. My bad.
So the fact is that, as I earlier mentioned, uh, we are a divided society. We are divided on many factors which have been mentioned by me and by Nilutpal. So if this is the way we are living, whatever we may say about the unity of our country, and we say we take pride in being united despite the diversity, I have the feeling that there are forces which are working against this very good principle of unity among the diverse groups of the Indians. And I think the main group which is responsible for continued divisibility is the politician. I think they are taking advantage of this. What I see is that over the last few years, and to start with, the leadership saw to it that we fought against the casteism of our country. The idea, the basic message that we got from our earliest leaders was the unity of all the different castes, all the different regions. And I think we started with a golden period of leaders who
Okay.
thought that we should all be together. But over the years, things have changed so much. Each decade has actually brought us down further into this pit of divisibility. And today, when an election takes place, very openly it is said that such and such caste is dominant in this region, therefore, such person should be able to win this election. And the entire selection of the elected leadership is therefore based on caste. Very little else comes into the picture. If you have been reading the distribution of tickets to candidates, what is the basis? It's not the good work that a person does. It is primarily the ability to gather votes. I have the feeling that great leaders like, say, a Lal Bahadur Shastri might not have been able to win an election today because he came from a caste which is not represented very widely in our society. So people with values, people with the right values, that is, and people who could have led the country to greater unity. One name I mentioned, there could be other names also. There are people who stand by those principles of unity and togetherness. Yet there are people who are working against these basic principles. And this is something that is damaging our society. And the question about the possibility of things reversing do not appear on the horizon right now. I will be very surprised that in my lifetime, or even in your lifetime, you are so young, even in your lifetime, you'll see a lot of change. My feeling is that we'll go further down because the way politics is being run in this country, we, we are likely to see worse days in future.
Right, I agree with you. So, what do you, Nilutpal, sir?
Well, like,
Uh,
yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, according to you, how are we gonna ever achieve the utopian society? Your thoughts?
Well, again, as Sir said, it's a far-fetched dream.
Yeah.
Uh, Frankly speaking, even I believe that it's not possible to right now with the current scenario. It's not possible to achieve a utopian society because, as Sir said, people are basically interested in caste such other dirty politics and not in developmental politics. Well, I'll just give you a small example about one of the happenings that happened here. I won't name the people. Well, there's this place in Upper Assam where mostly the Ahom people reside. Okay, so there was a candidate who was pro-developmental, but he was not given the ticket because somebody who belonged to the Ahom community could gather more votes. Things happen like that, but again, it's always a numbers game. Politics is a numbers game. They'll look into the numbers and find out if they can form the government or not, if they can gather more votes. So in that numbers game, somewhere we are losing the essence of the society. Somewhere we are going more towards getting the power rather than utilizing the power for a greater good. So for me, I believe that it's a far-fetched dream for being a utopian society. But if, currently things are a bit changing. I won't say no. Currently things are a bit changing. People are, thinking towards a better future. But let's see. Let's see what happens. I won't comment much on this.
Yeah, and achieving utopian society is something, very not easy, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah. So, as we all know, that social media is a powerful tool,
Mhm.
that has like enough power to change our thoughts,
Mhm.
and they can also, fabricate the truthful facts, right? So, my next question: that people often take the help of social media to express their hatred towards other communities and disguise it as religious beliefs, like Indian Muslims tip. So, what's your take on this? So, I would like to start with Alok, sir.
Yes, obviously, the social media is being misused very widely, and it's being misused for vested interests. And the greatest vested interest which is guiding the misuse of social media is once again political advantage that can be gained out of it. So we are witnessing a misuse of a very good medium, as a matter of fact. If you ask me, atomic power is a very good thing to have, because with atomic power we can answer so many problems that the humanity is facing. Yet, what we do with it is we make bombs and we kill people with it. Likewise, a wonderful thing like social media is being misused. It can be used for uniting people. It can be used for addressing a lot of problems that the humanity is facing. There are so many things that can be done, that are being done also. The fact remains that today, if I am sitting in Dehradun uh, and Nilutpal is sitting in Guwahati, the two of us are with you, talking to you in a third place. And you're sitting, I don't know where you are stationed. Are you in Delhi?
Yes,
You are in
Delhi.
Delhi.
Yeah.
So we are pretty far away as far as geography is concerned. Yet we are able to exchange our ideas thanks to social media. Doctors can perform surgeries sitting many miles away. They can advise on how to go about a particular procedure. So all this is possible only because of internet that we have. So it is a medium which can be utilized beautifully. Unfortunately, for the vested interests who are running the media, um, this is being used differently.
Right.
So better sense will prevail, and one day we'll be able to overcome this tendency to misuse this wonderful medium.
Right. Okay. So, moving ahead. So, Nilutpal, sir, what's your thoughts on this, the social media?
Well, I believe that social media allows you to, get behind a garb or a veil and put on your own thoughts out. So, in person, if you're telling somebody or you're abusing somebody for his religion, it will not be easy, because you'll be facing that person in your front, and you might get a backlash too. Though you get a backlash in the social media as well, but it allows you to have a garb and abuse people. So what I believe is that because of that garb, or because of that veil that people have, they started showing their true colors. For example, if I'm sitting with somebody who is a Muslim, he might be a very good friend of mine in person, but as a person, I don't like Muslim people. So I cannot say it in front of him, but in social media I can blabber anything against the Muslim people. So that allows people to show their true colors, which I believe. And secondly, you can see there are many fake accounts that are running in the social media. So these fake accounts mainly create these kind of issues. And again, as Sir said, these fake accounts are routed back to the all those power centers or political parties that are doing the rounds. So this kind of social campaign towards a particular community or towards a particular religion, you know, creates a kind of hatred towards a community, or probably that helps in furthering their own political goals. So
Right.
that is one thing. Secondly, as you say, basically it's done against the religions. Religion itself is not a matter of concern. The concern is the religious preachers or the gurus who preach the religion. The books, nobody reads the books, but whatever the gurus or the preachers say, they believe in it. So the misinterpretation can be done in all the holy books. The holy books are not written even in even if you read art acts or rules which the government use, it's not a straight point to point answer or point to point line which you get. You can interpret and misinterpret as well. So that happens all the time with the religious books as well. So these preachers or the religious gurus preach the religion in such a way that the people listening to it tend to take a diversified way than the way that they should have taken. So I believe that if these things are kept in check, there is possibility that these things might not happen in future.
What Nilutpal said just now about the divisions that are caused by the social media because of the religious gurus, let us not forget that what the religious gurus say is conveyed to us through the WhatsApp messages.
Yeah,
We are not sure if that is actually said by the religious guru or not.
Right.
yeah, yeah,
And number two is that people are not reading a lot of books these days.
yeah.
What somebody calls a WhatsApp university is something that is where everybody gets one's degrees. So
Right.
these degrees, the WhatsApp degrees, do so much of damage to our basic knowledge. The body of knowledge that we have today is so flawed. Uh, a lot of people, if I may say so, youngsters especially, are not concentrating in the classroom because they think that they can go back and refer to what is there on Google.
Right.
Google, as you know, has all kinds of inputs. You
Yeah.
have very dependable inputs, and on the other end, a lot more of what is not dependable or what is less dependable. So, all this is happening around us, and this WhatsApp University and similar universities are causing a lot of damage.
Yes.
And I feel like fact checking is very important, and we cannot entirely rely on social media. We
Mhm.
need to do our own research, right?
Exactly.
So we just discussed about racial discrimination and the religious beliefs of our social media. So it is a very important the gender inequality, which is very prevailing in our society. So my next question to you, both of you, how imperative is it to establish gender equality? And has the recent awareness about feminism contributed to this cause? So I would like to start with Nilutpal sir.
Okay. Well, gender equality, yes, it's very important. It's important because nowadays there was a time when when people this female population of India, they used to come out with slogans like "treat us as human." Now, at least things have come up to this level that treat us as equal. Okay. Now, secondly, equality is important because nowadays there is not much difference in the kind of education we get, the kind of exposure we get, and the kind of treatment we get at home. I'm saying this because in the northeastern part of India, we do not have any discrimination regarding sex. Okay, females and males are treated equally. In fact, in some of the states, you won't believe, there are matrilineal societies. For example, in Shillong, the guy gets married to the girl's house. In Aizawl, there's a market which is run all by the women. So in Northeast India, we respect people, we respect female or women, and we keep them at a very high place, at a very high esteem. So gender equality for me, I've seen it in my life, I've seen it in my home as well. So for me, it has not, much affected, or I've not seen much of the disparity here. But uh, in newspapers and all, I've seen that there's a lot of cases of female infanticides, and then I've seen cases where female are not treated as equal at par with male. In fact, in politics also, you'll find more male people than females. In high-end jobs, find more male people than female. So the thing is, it's important that we should create more equal opportunities, more opportunities for females, and some of the government, policies like reservation for women and all those things have helped a lot, I believe. So in future, I believe that this gender equality will somehow prevail in India, and the future is not that grim, I believe.
And I feel like women don't want upper hand in the society. They just want equality so that we can work together and create a harmonious society, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I believe.
Yeah. So moving ahead, Mr. Alok sir.
Obviously, operation of any segment of society by another segment is not a desirable thing to happen. It may be based on various factors, but in the case of the gender inequality matter, I think you have to accept that it is 50% of the total population of humanity which is being oppressed by another 50%. So this is a most unacceptable situation, and this must be, if not immediately, slowly, definitely with a lot of objectivity addressed, and surely we must move in the right direction. It's not merely male female. The gender spectrum as a whole has to be taken. We have we are talking in the 22nd year of the 21st century, and even today uh, we do not have equality among the genders. As a matter of fact, now that you have the spectrum and you have to recognize that
Yeah.
it's not merely male and female. So, of course, it is very necessary, it is imperative to establish this equality and awareness about feminism. You mentioned that we should try to achieve equality and not dominance of, say, females over males. Now, talking about any such movement which addresses such divisions within the society,
Hmm.
what often happens is that the reaction is very strong, and therefore, when one segment which has been oppressed by another wants to get its place under the sun, the reaction is not balanced. And perhaps that is what you were mentioning, that there should be equality and women should not be allowed to dominate in place of men. There should be no domination from one side to another. So the idea is of bringing together people and not allow such divisive tendencies to continue to divide us.
Right.
And should this continue, this kind of intersectionality should continue, there will be problems. So, positive intersectionality is important. There should be overlapping areas where we should be able to recognize these are the better areas, and they should actually become common to the entire spectrum. And so, we should look at it as a problem of the society, of a humanity as a whole,
Hmm.
because gender inequality is not only in our country, it is across all the countries in the world. Even the so called advanced Western societies still are grappling with this problem. So, the idea of bringing women to a level where they can be considered equal to men is a very good one. Obviously, it is something that is very desirable. And the feminist movement has therefore to be run with a lot of imagination and understanding. If the feminist movement appears to be one which is trying to create a new domination from, say, the dominance of one segment of society moves to another segment of society, that is again as undesirable as it is today.
Hmm.
So, of course, we are far away from any equality. Nilutpal says that he is upbeat about it, and I'm very surprised because I really don't see much movement in the direction of positivity. There are pockets. He mentioned there are northeastern pockets of where women are given a due place in society, but even there, where there is matrilineal society, there also perhaps men will be oppressed to some extent. So any operation of one side from another is not acceptable to me. I think this has to be addressed. This oppression has to go. Can go only once we recognize that the rights that human beings should be enjoyed without bringing in the gender factor into it, the regional factor into it, the caste and the religious factor into it. Equality has to be actually a uniform situation. So you cannot have a seesaw that today somebody is able to have greater weight, therefore the other person is hanging in balance. No, the balance has got to be equal on both sides. It's not a seesaw, it should be a balance.
Right. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. So, my last question to both of you. The Indian political system is infected with corrupt and dishonest politicians who refuse to do their jobs properly. So I'm not, straightforwardly saying that they are bad, but still, will Indian politics ever see a turning point? Please express your thoughts. So I would like to start with Alok, sir.
I've dealt with politicians very closely, having been a police officer for a very long time in my life. And we have to accept that in the system that we have, politicians play a very important role in the society also. They're not just running the government. We have legislations which directly impact various segments of society. Many of these politicians are wonderful people. They are dedicated to the job that they are doing. Many of them are drawn from very adverse backgrounds, yet they rise to high positions in society, in government. And some of them are doing great job. But unfortunately, a majority of them are not doing this because they have to remain within a system which is thrown up by our society. Let us look at all segments of our society. Which segment of society is ideal in our country? Who is ideal? Where do we have a majority of good people? In all, in all our aspects of society, there are many problems which have to be solved, many problems which have to be addressed. And therefore, I will not squarely blame the politician for how he is or she is. The politician is drawn from the same milieu from which you, I, and everybody else is drawn. We come with our own baggage of negatives. They also do. The difference between them and us is that they are in a position to influence a lot of people with their decisions,
Right.
with their policies. And therefore, what is important is that as voters, we do not choose these people who are not worth it. We are voters, you and I are voters. Is it not our responsibility to see that we vote the right people into the government? We vote the right people to hold positions where they can influence the law of the country, where they can influence the decisions of the government of the country. If we are not selecting the right people, when you say that a politician is not good, they are not worth it, we are actually saying that we have not been able to select or elect the right politicians. We have a system where we go and cast our vote. And therefore, it is our responsibility to cast our vote for the right persons.
Right.
It is easy to blame somebody else for what is going wrong, but look at yourself also. We are all responsible for what is happening around us. We vote for a person based on that person's availability to us, based on that person's possibility of helping us when we need the help. We don't vote the best person. We vote the person who is going to help us the most, who is going to be favorable to us the most. Me, myself, I'm looking at myself and doing it for me, not for the society in large, not for the country at large. So, from the idealistic days of the initial years of our freedom, we have come down to a point where people are voting very selfishly, and we are not therefore able to elect the right people. Then, the second part you mentioned earlier, that the role being played by the by the social media is very negative. So through the social media, we learn all the wrong things. We may just make images of these politicians. Certain politicians appear to be godlike, while others appear to be not so acceptable to us. And therefore, we finally presume that this man is better than the other, this woman is better than the other. Let us look at it this way. If we have our own brains, why don't we judge for ourselves? Why do we go by the by what the social media tells us? We are generally driven by what people around us are doing. What my caste, what my particular society, my friends, my family, where are they voting? We'll all vote together for the same person. And within the family, the agreement is that we'll go and vote for X or Y party. It is never so that we say that we'll all go individually and vote for the person we consider the best. So this is what is happening. So let us not blame just the politician. It's the entire system which needs an overhaul. We need to look at our own contribution to the society in which we are living. And I think there is much to be desired, left much to be desired.
Okay. Thank you so much, Alok sir. So, Nilutpal sir, what's your take on this?
Well, as sir said, I have also dealt with a lot of politicians in my short career till now. First of all, we have to understand that India is the largest democracy, right? So, we as a country, we all want democracy. We are not looking for monarchy or authoritarian state or anything like that, or probably, something like China. We always want democracy. So, this democracy has been running जैसे तैसे चल तो रहा है as a democracy. Barring a one or two episodes of emergency, this country is running as a democracy. So democracy is for the people, by the people, of the people. So these politicians are from among us only. So we as individuals, we are all different people. We have all different emotions, actions, and qualities, attitudes, and everything. So these politicians also have these kind of different qualities. So it's a, as I said, it's a mixed bag. Once you choose that person, you don't know how they'll behave, how they'll go and behave. But the point where the problem starts is that we choose that same person once again, even if he behaves or if he works badly for the constituency. So, from my experience, I'm telling. This also at times, is driven by the situation they are in. For example, if somebody calls and asks me to do some job, if some politician calls and asks me to do something which is not according to the law, he might have called me because somebody is standing there who belongs from his constituency and who has some amount of vote with him. And he is asking the politician to tell me to do this thing. So at that point of time, whatever that was taught in our training that I'm saying, at that point of time, even if we say, okay, sir, we'll do it. And if at the later point of time, we make him understand that this is not good, this is wrong, most of the politicians, they accept it. And they understand that this cannot be done. But there are few who won't understand this. There are few who will be hell-bound to do this. So it is our duty to select the first lot and not select the second lot, and that lies with us. We get that power every 5 years. It depends on us how we utilize that power.
Thank you so much. So yeah, it's time to wrap up. So thank you so much, Alok sir and Nilutpal sir. And I'm really sorry for spelling your name incorrect.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I had a very lovely conversation with you. And I hope that the audience would also enjoy the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks to PVLF for inviting us for this wonderful, evening, and for this wonderful panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
ditto, ditto. I also say that. Thank you very much for having me over here and discuss some very vital issues.
Yes.
These are very important issues. Thank you very much.